everyone, and welcome again to my channel English One on One, where we take the frustration out of learning.
Hello everyone and welcome again to my YouTube channel. Today we shall be looking at the short story, The Two Grandmothers. The objectives of this lesson are as follows. 1. To analyze the various characters, Grandma Adele, Grandma Elaine, and the granddaughter in terms of their character traits. 2. List and comment on the various narrative techniques that the writer employ in this short story. Thirdly, outline the various themes explored in this short story. Number 4, discuss briefly some of the life lessons that are embedded in this story. List, of course, the various stories that this story may be compared with based on their thematic approach. And lastly, but by no means least, examine a comparative essay question in relation to this story and briefly outline how to tackle this question, providing a sample. Let's go as we discuss the story, The Two Grandmothers.
The author, Olive Sr., writer extraordinaire. Olive Sr. was born in 1941 in Jamaica, and she spent her early years in the rural parishes of Trelawney and Westmoreland. Based on her wealth of expertise in the area of West Indian literature, she is considered a significant voice in contemporary Caribbean writings. In this story, The Two Grandmothers, she displays not only an awareness of the preoccupations of the young, but also her ability to recreate their concept of the world in a rather witty and engaging manner. May I see the thumbs up going, right? If for those persons who enjoyed the story, the short story, The Two Grandmothers. And are you from any of these parishes in Jamaica, Trelawney or Westmoreland? Let me know in the comment section below. Children often spend a lot of time with their grandparents, especially in the formative years of their development. Consequently, their values, beliefs, and perspectives on life are actually molded by their interaction with them. The story of the two grandmothers highlights the impact that grandparents who have very different belief systems and lifestyle can have on the psyche of their grandchildren, or in this case, grandchild. Grandma Dell. This patriarchal grandmother is the typical grandmother in that she is one, traditional. She subscribes to the traditional customs and beliefs. She goes to church regularly, beliefs. She goes to church regularly. She upholds traditional values. She sends her granddaughter to Sunday school. She does not believe in the wearing of makeup and considers this a sin. Right? Secondly, she is God fearing. Thirdly, very loving. She displays her love for her granddaughter by spending valuable time with her, telling her stories, making her dresses for Sunday for church, and of course, teaching her basic values about self acceptance. Notice in the story, she was the one who actually told her granddaughter that her hair is beautiful and nothing is wrong with it. It doesn't need to be adjusted. Fourth, she is devoted. We see her devotion to her family. We also see her devotion to her church. Although she possesses the above positive character traits, she has some negative traits in that she is one, judgmental and hypocritical, right? When we saw that in the whole idea with the community girls not wanting her granddaughter to spend any time with Eulalie and the other girls from the community. Two, she is prejudiced, okay? And thirdly, she's overtly religious. Right? Now, nothing is wrong with someone being religious, but of course, when someone is overtly religious, then there is cause for concern. Grandma Elaine or Tausa. This matriarchal grandmother is not your typical grandmother in that she is one, unconventional. She, unlike Grandma Dell, does not subscribe to traditional beliefs or value system. Two, she is a socialite who rarely spends time with her granddaughter because of the various events or activities that she engages in. Thirdly, she is materialistic. She bases her intimate relationship on material things. Mr. Kincaid drove a Benz. Mr. Samuel is able to take her to Mexico and she is able to go to Miami to purchase a new wardrobe for the trip. Mr. Blake is equally financially well endowed, and as a result of that, he is able to purchase a new cottage for her. Hence, she can take her granddaughter to Ochi for 3 weeks. Notice also that her granddaughter was curious to find out whether or not Grandma Toza would marry Mr. Blake. Fourthly, we can say that she's a modern grandmother. She is very much carefree and easygoing and changes her outlook or perspective with technological advancement. Although she's modern, she, like Grandma Elaine, loved her granddaughter, so we know that she's loving. And she compensates for not spending enough time with her by giving her gifts. Lastly, we can say that Grandma Elaine is prejudiced. She does not accept her granddaughter's hair and wants to change it so that it is less kinky. Exposure to the contrasting worlds of Grandma Dell and Grandma Elaine, the young girl is understandably confused. Initially, she gravitates to the world of Grandma Dell because she finds it so captivating. However, as the story progresses, the granddaughter was more fascinated with the world of Grandma Elaine. Her lifestyle was more glamorous. This may be due to, to a number of factors, such as maturity. The young lady has grown throughout the story. Thus, what usually fascinates someone at age 6 no longer fascinates him or her at age 12 or 16. Can you relate to this? In fact, also the lack of unity or support between the matriarchal grandmother and the patriarchal grandmother had also placed a strain on the young lady's relationship with Grandma Adele. Now, if the grandparents were more supportive of each other, then of course the granddaughter would have had a balanced approach to life. It is also important to note that the granddaughter is unnamed. Usually, one's identity is shaped by his or her environment and the core values instilled by one's parents and by association grandparents. The fact that the granddaughter frequently questions the actions or behavior of her grandmothers is a testament to the fact that she does not know herself and is actually forming her identity based on external factors, what she has seen others doing, rather than being intrinsic about it. So, unlike Squeaky, remember Squeaky? Squeaky knew who she was. Anyways, we're not gonna go there. We're jumping the gun a bit. Yes, unlike Squeaky, where Squeaky knew who she was, this granddaughter is somewhat perplexed, confused. All right. Now, let's move on to narrative techniques. Now, it is interesting to discover that there are many narrative techniques that are actually used or employed in this short story, The Two Grandmothers. One is situational irony. There are several situational ironies in this story. These are as follows. One, the granddaughter's blatant disregard for her grandma Dale. Initially, when the story initially, the granddaughter was so close to her grandmother, that's Grandma Adele, when she was much younger. But as she grew older and would and should be wiser, she drifted and started to be captivated by the lifestyle of Grandma Elaine, right? And we saw that in the latter part of the story when she said, I know Grandma Adele is getting old and she's all alone, but she won't miss me. She quarrels with me all the time. I'm there, Mom. I just can't fit her in, and that is that. So we see the blatant disregard for her grandma Dale, who loved her so much, who made clothes for her, who combed her hair, who cooked, and did all of that for her and would have instilled the right values and attitude, in order to protect her. But of course, because grandma's Elaine's lifestyle was so different, right? And the girl, no, who we would have expected would have shown some level of maturity and compassion towards her grandmother and respect and regard. Of course, that was not shown, okay? And so that is somewhat ironic, and that is situational irony there. Another situational irony is seen in the granddaughter's comments about her father. Her comments about her father is somewhat ironic because her father is insisting that she spends time with her grandmother, yet he does not spend time with his mother and is rarely at home. See, red flag, that's a red flag. Dada did seem like there's trouble in paradise. Hear what she says. I don't know what dad is on about, because if he feels so strongly, why doesn't he go and spend time with his mother? Only that's a laugh, because daddy doesn't have time for anybody anymore. I mean, is there ever a time nowadays when he is at home? Mm-mm-mm. Dada D story come to bump. Now we see why the girls are blatantly rude. Mm-mm. What are your thoughts on this? Situational irony or and also dramatic irony is seen also in Grandma's Dell condemnation of Lulali and Ermadine. Right? So Grandma's Dell's condemnation of Eulalie and Ermadine had caused her granddaughter not only to develop a snobbish attitude, but it had also caused her to view her grandmother, Grandma Dale, as pretentious or hypocritical, as she had a similar fate based on Eulalie's decoration. Hear what Eulalie had to say. You ever hear that she that is without sin must cast the first stone? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, ask your granny Dale, Miss High and Mighty, since her son turned big shot and all. Ask her who is father, and why she never turned teacher, and why her daddy almost turned her out of the house and never speak to her for 5 years. Dada D, red flag again. mix up, story come to bump, family drama, right here in The Two Grandmothers. Are you getting it now? Seeing it, students? I trust that you are. Narrative techniques, eh? Situational irony. Miss Iron Mighty. The use of contrasting characters. The writer Olive Senior uses contrasting characters as a technique to make the story more interesting. Grandma Adele is the polar opposite of Grandma Elaine. Due to their differences in speech, mannerism, and views on life, we are curious to find out whether or not the unnamed granddaughter would have adopted or patterned the lifestyle of Grandma Adele or Grandma Elaine, or forged her own path. Were you curious? Was it a shocker to you that she had also adopted the mannerism and lifestyle or ways of Grandma Elaine? State if it was in the comment section below. Now, humor is also a narrative technique. This humor is used as a technique by Olive Senior to make the story more engaging. Many of the speeches made by the narrator is viewed as humorous or funny. For example, this one, Mr. Mac's daughter Eulalie and Ermedine are big girls at a school in town, though Eulalie fell and they don't know what is to be done. Mummy, why are they so worried that Eulalie fell? She didn't break her leg or anything, for she's walking up and down past the house all day long and looks perfectly fine to me. Now, of course, we are laughing hysterically because we know that the young lady is unaware of the concept or the metaphor of falling here, and this might be a fall from grace for Eulalie in the sense that Eulalie is not, she has not literally fallen, but she is pregnant, okay? And being a minister's daughter, you know, pregnancy before marriage is something that is frowned upon, right? And so we know that the falling is used there metaphorically to represent a fall from grace. He found it humorous. Here she said, walking up and down past the house and looking perfectly fine. No wrong with her. But we know that she's pregnant. Humor is also seen in the speech made by other characters apart from the narrator. Let's examine these statements. Grandmother, I mean Towser, Grandma Adele introduces me to everyone as her granddaughter. She calls me her little gran. And Grandma Elaine says, "Darling, the way your grandmother Dell looks and conducts herself, she couldn't be anything but a grandmother. And honey, she and I are of entirely different generations." See the humor? Get it? Oh my God. Da da dee da da da. We see the conflict here. Grandma Elaine believes that she is younger than Grandma Adele, and maybe in reality she could be younger in terms of age, but in terms of, you notice that she said the way she looks and conducts herself, right? She couldn't be anything else but a grandmother. So you know that Grandma Elaine is very feisty, right? Very feisty. Okay. Techniques, other narrative techniques include the following. One, foreshadowing. So this time I found that I had grown so much that I couldn't get into the dresses Grandma made for me the last time, right? And so that the idea, literally the narrator cannot, the young lady, the granddaughter cannot fit into the dresses. But this also foreshadows the fact that she will not be able to fit into Grandma's Dale's world or lifestyle, okay? She will choose another path. Then you have the rhetorical questions. Now, the rhetorical questions suggest that the child emphasize that the child is confused about her identity and where she fits in and where she belongs. Mummy, am I really a nigger? That's what Merlene said. Mummy, why can't I straight? straighten my hair like Merlin. I am so ashamed of my hair. So the whole idea of confusion, because she's exposed to these two worlds, and so she constantly has questions for her mother regarding what to accept, what to reject, and all. Right? And then there's a metaphor which we had discussed earlier. So Eulalie fell. So the falling there is not a literal falling where she fell down and might have hurt herself, but the fall there is a fall from grace. Okay, means that she's pregnant, symbolizing this fall from grace. And then there's suspense. Suspense is the withholding of information, and throughout this story we saw where the narrator and also the author, Olive Senior, withhold certain important details from us, or information as to who is the granddaughter's grandfather from the perspective of Grandma Dale, and also from Grandma Elaine, which okay. And then the Grandma Dale had her father with a married man. It's still up in the air. We don't know who is the father of the granddaughter, or grandfather, that is. Okay, so there are many unanswered questions. All right, just that this information has been helpful to you. The themes explored in this short story are as follows: love and family relationship, women in society, tradition versus modern perceptions, attitude to the past, changes or transformation, growing up, racial prejudice, finding one's identity. Now, if you have any other theme that you would have discussed with your teacher, you may share it in the comments section below. Are numerous lessons that are embedded in this short story. One such lesson is that the growing up stage can be a difficult or painful experience, and more so when you have parents or guardians or grandparents with varying beliefs or value systems. Secondly, one's identity is shaped by the person or persons he or she interfaces with regularly. These individuals will determine one's speech, mannerism, values, and to some extent, beliefs. Hence, the proverbial expressions, show me your company and I tell you who you are. Birds of a feather flock together. An awareness of self is very important. Individuals who know who they are often not easily manipulated or less prone to be manipulated by others, as they are very conscious of their core values. If the main character, the granddaughter, had an awareness of her core values, she would not have so easily disregarded her grandma Dell, whom she had initially admired. Fourthly, changes are inevitable. People over time change not only physically, but emotionally and mentally. Consequently, the truth or beliefs held in the past may not be the beliefs held in the present or the future, as people perception may change based on their location, their interactions, and associations. Note B how the narrator's interaction with her cousins in Clearwater had affected her perception about herself and others. Lastly, traditional women are very different from modern women in terms of some of their values and beliefs. Note well, Grandma Dell seems to be very conservative when it comes on to intimate relationships. The only man we are aware of is her son's absentee father, while Grandma Elaine is very liberal. Throughout the course of the story, she has had multiple relationships. Let's see if we can tackle this essay question. And the question reads: People's values, goals, and perception on life can change based on a specific experience or situation. With reference to the short stories Raymond's Run and The Two Grandmothers, comment clearly on how on who had changed and why, and state how their change had affected the other characters around them. Comment also on one narrative technique that the writer from each story used in to prepare us for this sudden change, and discuss two lessons that students may learn from each story. Are you able to tackle this one? Let's see. Let's begin. In order to master, the first thing that we need to do in order to master this question, right, for the examination, is that we need to pull the question apart. Yes, rip it apart. Yes. And so when we rip the question apart, the first aspect of our question, it speaks to the fact that we are going to be looking at who had changed and what was responsible for the change, and the impact that this change would have had on the other characters around them. So, and that aspect of the question is worth 8 marks. Are you seeing it now? We're breaking it down for you because you would have learned from previous videos that content is marked out of 25. And in order for us to get the 25 marks, it is 8 plus 8 plus 9, right? Then that will give you your 25 marks for content. And then, of course, 5 marks is for expression and 5 marks is for organization. And that is how you get it being marked out of 35. I trust that that one was helpful for you. Let's pull it apart again. Pull it apart and see the other aspect of your essay. Now, the second aspect of this essay, you will definitely look at one technique, one narrative technique used by the writer of each story in order to prepare us for this sudden change. And that aspect of the question is worth 8 marks. Of this question, the third aspect of this question requires that students discuss 2 lessons from each story. 2 lessons that they would have learned from each story. And that aspect of that question is worth 9 marks. Here is a sample introduction. And the sample introduction reads: change is inevitable. Over time, one's beliefs, values, goals, and even their perception about life will eventually change. And this change may be due to one fateful encounter, experience, or situation. Within the stories Raymond's Run and The Two Grandmothers, the main character, Squeaky, and the unnamed granddaughter, respectively, had changed. The writers, Tony K. Bombara and Olive Senior, had used many narrative techniques in preparing the readers for these unavoidable changes, and in doing so, they had taught us many vital lessons. And after such an introduction, we know that in the second paragraph, we're going to talk about for each story who had changed and why they had changed, and also how that change had affected others. Then in the third paragraph or fourth paragraph, depending on how much you would have written for the first aspect of the question, then you would talk about the narrative techniques used by the writer in preparing us for the change. And in the fourth, fourth and or fifth paragraph, you will discuss, of course, the lessons that you would have learned, the two lessons that you would have learned from these stories. And of course, you would have your conclusion, and that is the essay. But a link will be provided, right? A link will be provided in the description box, where you can get a sample, the full sample of this essay. I trust that the information that was shared have been beneficial to you. If it has, go ahead and subscribe, share, tell a friend, right? And of course, give it a thumbs up, a like, and all. God bless you. To apologize for the inconsistency with which the videos are posted for the past 3 months. This, of course, is due to my malfunctioning computer and other commitments outside my control. I wish to thank, however, my viewers for being patient with me, as they are aware that there are a number of variables that confront us all daily, to which we have no control over. And of course, I must commend you for being so patient. Continue watching, continue viewing as I continue to press on this journey, YouTube journey, which is relatively, I would say, new, but not relatively new, still learning. May God continue to bless you as you benefit from the videos, and as I, of course, interact with you. I pray that you will receive much blessings. God bless you.